Hi everyone, this is 𝐬𝐃𝐄𝐒 of Ali Talks Tech. Before I kick off our weekly roundup this week, I want to take a moment to wish all my fellow Muslim brothers and sisters Ramadan Mubarak and Saum Maqbul, inshallah. This week we are covering a couple of interesting stories, and for some reason there's a lot of focus on Nigeria, but that's what's happening on the ground. I'll be covering Interswitch's Telecom's market focus in Nigeria, looking also at MTN's mobile money partnership with a super interesting organization in West Africa. We'll delve into it shortly. And the plot thickens in Nigeria as two Binance executives are still being held by Nigerian authorities. We'll discuss that in a minute. We'll also cover the interesting and phenomenal growth of Bitcoin that has hit $70,000 for the first time in history. What is occasioning that phenomenal growth of Bitcoin in the last couple of weeks? So, Interswitch has apparently gotten a MVNO license in Nigeria. That's mobile virtual network operator license. For those who may not understand what an MVNO means in comparison to your normal telecom operator, a mobile virtual network operator simply exactly means that they don't own any infrastructure. It's what is known in financial terms as asset light, which basically means a telecom operator is licensed, the ride on an already licensed operator that has rolled out a network. In Nigeria, that could mean Glow, it could mean Airtel, it could also mean MTN. This is interesting. Interswitch is one of the leading fintechs in Africa. A couple of years ago, Visa invested $200 million into Interswitch at a valuation of $1 billion, making it one of the very few unicorns in Africa. So, what exactly is a fintech doing getting into the telecom business? A bit of background information is important. Nigeria is home to 200 million people. About 60% of them have mobile connectivity. And of those, only 5% have access to 5G and 0.8% have access. Only 5% have access to 4G and about 0.8% have access to 5G. Is the mobile telephone market the only play here for Interswitch? Or is the market big enough for them to start thinking about, they've stopped thinking about it. They're already in it. They've acquired a license. It will be interesting to see what sort of services Interswitch is going to roll out with their MVNO license. In my next story, I am covering MTN's mobile money operations in Nigeria seem to be gaining good traction. Again, some interesting stats here. Nigeria being the largest market in Africa and one of the top fintech markets in Africa has sort of lagged behind when it comes to mobile money. And there are reasons for that. There are policy and regulatory reasons for that. We shall not delve into that. But suffice it to say that the growth of mobile money in Nigeria has not been the phenomenal success that mobile money has been in, say, Kenya. But that's changing now. The Central Bank of Nigeria has basically sort of set their policy structures in place. Now they are rolling out and giving opportunity to players to start playing in that space. So Nigeria has lagged behind when it comes to mobile money. This partnership between MTN and an organization called the West Africa Association for Cross-Border Trade in Food, Agro-Pastoral, and Fishery Products is collaborating. They are collaborating to create awareness, empower traders with a revolutionary approach to cross-border transactions. I'm presuming this revolutionary approach has to do with mobile money. This will be interesting to see because, again, financial inclusion has sort of lagged behind in Nigeria in comparison to markets like Kenya. As of 2023, financial inclusion in Nigeria hit about 64% in comparison to Kenya, that is in the higher 80s, 80%. So this is going to be interesting to continuously watch. This is a big organization across the ECOWAS region, and MTN is very clear about their strategy when it comes to fintech and mobile money. They now have, or at least claim to have, the largest mobile money active users on a month-to-month basis, more than 60 million. Close second to that is M-Pesa, which is interesting because M-Pesa has had many years of growth and many years of sort of fast mover advantage. So you can see where MTN is coming as far as this area is concerned. Now we turn to this interesting and confounding issue that is happening, that is playing out in Nigeria. And this is the continued detention of Binance executives in Nigeria. So let me read you a story from a post I did on LinkedIn. Nigeria's government invited and then detained two senior Binance officials. Tigran Gambarian, Binance's head of financial crime compliance, and Nadeem Anjarwal, a UK and Kenyan national, and Binance's regional manager for Africa, are being held in a guarded house with restrictions, such as how many times they can speak to their families. According to a Wall Street Journal report, Gambarian, 39 years old, and Anjarwal, 37, landed in Abuja, Nigeria's capital, on February 25th, 2024. So that would make it about slightly above 2 weeks now. Is it? Yeah, slightly above 2 weeks, about 18 days. At the invitation of government officials who requested a series of meetings. The next day, the two sat with officials from Nigeria's central bank, securities regulator, national security arm, and financial intelligence arm. Let me repeat this. The next day, the two sat with officials from Nigeria's central bank, securities regulator, national security arm, and financial intelligence arm. The meeting lasted about 2 hours and left Gambarian and Anjarwala feeling progress had been made, their families said. Instead, the two Binance employees were escorted back to their hotel and asked to pack their belongings and were taken to a guarded house. No reason was given. Ladies and gentlemen, what exactly is going on here? This is an interesting and worrying case. Binance is the largest crypto exchange in the world, with trade volumes last year of slightly over $8 trillion. Nigeria is their largest market in Africa. A couple of months ago, Binance USA, a wholly owned subsidiary of Binance International, was fined by the U.S. Justice Department $4.5 billion for various charges that the U.S. government had accused them of. They agreed to settle, and they paid the $4.5 billion, and their CEO, 𝐒𝐓, accepted certain charges. So, is the Nigerian situation playing out to some extent like the one in the US? Has Nigeria decided that enough is enough? Because apparently there are quite a number of compliance issues. This issue of Binance goes beyond just the two gentlemen, and we wish them all the best, them and their families, being held apparently for crimes that Binance is guilty of. We don't know what those are because no charges have been preferred against the two gentlemen or against Binance itself. But news stories say that the Nigerian government is demanding $10 billion of fines from Binance. Is the demand for $10 billion and the detention of these two gentlemen linked? That's the $1 billion question, literally. We don't have any answers because the Nigerian government is not saying anything else. But the fact that these two gentlemen met with the central bank officials, securities regulator, national security arm, and financial intelligence arm, you can start putting a picture together. It is not for me to say whether it is right or wrong to hold the two gentlemen, but I think the least the Nigerian government can do is to prefer charges against these two gentlemen, or at least tell their families exactly what they are being held in Nigeria for. Again, wishing these two gentlemen all the best. We hope this issue will be resolved sooner rather than later. The last story I'm covering today is the meteoric rise of Bitcoin to 70K. In fact, as I was going to bed yesterday, it was almost hitting 72K. What has caused this? Just a couple of months ago, we had seen a dramatic drop in Bitcoin. There are a number of potential culprits for the growth, but we can trace one of the biggest issues is the recent approval by the US of Bitcoin ETFs, which have been popular and are likely one of the significant drivers of the cryptocurrency's price movement. So, what exactly are Bitcoin ETFs, you ask? These are future exchange-traded funds that are pools of Bitcoin-related assets offered on traditional exchanges by brokerages to be traded as ETFs. ETFs, exchange-traded funds. The intent behind these ETFs is to give retail and other investors exposure to cryptocurrencies without needing to own them. Key takeaways. These ETFs are exchange-traded funds that aim to offer exposure to price movements of Bitcoin. There are future contracts to achieve this goal. Number 3, fund managers can purchase these contracts and bundle them into a fund. So we're starting to see funds, or what in financial terms are called derivatives, starting to be created around crypto. These funds then have gained popularity when first introduced, in part because the US Securities and Exchange Commission initially blocked ETFs that directly held Bitcoin before approving them this year. We are going to see some interesting movements in blockchain related products and crypto in particular. I'll be watching out for crypto, but I think I'll also be watching out for the less known crypto assets like Ethereum, Polygon, and the rest. The price for Bitcoin right now might be quite rich, but if you spend a bit of time researching crypto, understanding that the basic premise of investing or delving in the crypto ecosystem is DYOR. Do your own research. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring it to a close for this week's interesting stories across Africa. See you next week.